Cyclone Hidaya is strengthening, with impact threat increasing for the coast of Tanzania. First tropical cyclone in a while, and obviously one that's in a somewhat rare area and at a rare time of year, moving west of the Seychelles, moving north of the Comoros Islands and heading straight for the coast of Tanzania. It's at 9 degrees south, 43.6 degrees east. As of 10 p.m. East African time, this May the 2nd, it has winds of estimated 65 miles per hour, 105 kilometers per hour, with a pressure of 987 millibars, moving west-northwest at 9 miles per hour or 14 k's. The storm is strengthening, and it looks as this rate it might develop a proper eye there and could become a hurricane strength storm for a little while before heading closer to land. Here it is right now, with its wind field extending furthest in the southeastern quadrant up to 135 nautical miles. And this is the position displayed on the map. No areas are probably receiving tropical storm force winds right now, but it's fairly close. Gale advisories in effect for pretty much all of the coastal regions of Tanzania right now. It's 265 kilometers from Grand Comore, 401 from Mtwara, 451 from Kilindoni, 535 from Dar es Salaam, the capital, and 580 from Zanzibar city, just a little bit further north. So this tropical storm currently is expected to strengthen a little bit further, likely now to peak as a Category 1 hurricane equivalent before rapidly weakening as it gets close to the coast, whether it moves straight west or whether it curves northwest. Torrential rainfall from the cyclone is expected to produce up to 12 inches of rainfall totals, 300 millimeters, leading to potentially dangerous flash flooding across coastal southern Tanzania. That's the key primary hazard right now, along with those potential strong winds, which will be up to gale force. But I would say at this juncture that rain is still the highest risk factor. Well, here it is right now, and the forecast over the next couple of days shows this, and it's more towards a northwestward turn. It dies off extremely quickly as it moves in towards the populated regions of the country over the weekend, and by the time we get to the end of the weekend there's probably going to be nothing left of it. Of course, it will be heading further towards the equator there, so it will completely just wind down and probably, as it moves overland, disintegrate pretty quickly. It is quite a small system, so that potential is always there as well. Well, all of the estimations right now have some catching up to do. The Ascat Pass this morning got a 50 mile per hour winds. That was some time ago. We don't have a more recent pass, but I imagine it might have got higher now. Meteo France are running with the 65 miles per hour if we convert it to 1 minute sustained winds, and the JTWC currently sitting at 60 miles per hour on their latest update. This is the JTWC forecast cone. They are expecting a hurricane equivalent storm by the time we get to early hours, actually, so not very long at all. About 6 hours time they're expecting it to be hurricane force. Nonetheless, they still expect that the storm will pass just north of Mafia Island as a weak tropical storm and then die off completely as it moves into Dar es Salaam. Here is the forecast from the GFS model, which forecast it a little bit further south, just along the southern side of Mafia Island there as a tropical storm, then moving straight inland. We're not sure about that scenario, and ensemble members are increasingly saying that it will curve further towards the north, more like the track that I'm drawing right now. In general, a northwestward curve there by the time we get to the end of tomorrow, and then sweeping through those populated areas, although fairly weak, but we'll still have some gusty winds and heavy rain. This is the simulated radar reflectivity as well, showing it trying to get its eye together there, but honestly I think it already looks better than the GFS projection on that metric at least. So the models look like they are still underestimating this system, and you could even argue right now that it may be rapidly intensifying. We need to wait a little bit longer before we can say that for sure, but definitely strengthening quite a lot right now and making its way towards hurricane equivalent winds. A lot of rainfall there up north as well later on after the storm dies off. So let's take a look at just how much rain that is for these areas, and you'll see the colours really start to fade in here over the next 7 days along some land areas. Not many, it has to be said, but there are some places that will get up to about 300 millimeters, and there is just an interesting point there, a big pink area just off the coast which has even higher rainfall amounts, although it's at sea, potentially up to 24 inches. Can't rule that out on land in one or two of those locations. Isolated amounts, that would be over 600 millimeters I got there in the end. And some of those other locations, the most populated places, Dar es Salaam, nearly 1 inch, that's 25 millimeters, and the Comoros Islands getting up towards 2 inches, 50 millimeters. Now, this isn't our usual graphic for this one. We've had an upgrade and it's not ready yet, so bear with us on this. But temperatures around the storm right now for the sea surface temperatures are around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius, and that will continue all the way up until its potential landfall. Temperatures in the interior are varying from around 27 to around 25 to around 28. But of course it's the sea surface temperatures that matter the most, and they will stay warm throughout the night and into tomorrow. So here is the satellite imagery of the storm as we alluded to in the opening titles, and you can see that it's been getting itself together quite a lot. Really interesting to see the big convective burst on the northwestern side in those last few frames, and starting to wrap around a little bit more on the southeast as well. So it does really appear as though we are starting to see a distinct eye feature starting up, and you can see it even more clearly, I would say, on this particular view here from Meteosat 10, and then in a minute we'll switch to Meteosat 9, showing a more square view on the storm right now, and a big massive flare-up of convection on a band there to its east, really affecting Grande Terre of the Seychelles and some of the associated islands such as Assumption. They'll be getting an absolute trouncing in terms of rainfall right now, although the coast of Tanzania still remaining fairly dry, but obviously this storm is very much on the way. Convective tops are really quite astonishing actually on the eastern thing. I'm not sure what to call it, but in the main bulk of the storm itself on the left hand side there, we are looking at in excess of minus 80 degree cloud tops, and this is the rain rate view here, showing that there are some substantial rain rates occurring around the center of the storm and in that big chunky cell next to it, up to maybe 50 millimeters per hour at times.